I was just reading a few startling statistics about the modern dating dynamic and tried to put two and two together and established a mental map of where we are headed. In the world we live today, especially in the last 2 decades, men are having fewer relationships than they used to. These relationships are short-term, polygamous, and uncommitted. However, what's truly astounding is the fact that a lot of these men are doing this with deliberate intent. That was a real head-scratcher for me when I first found that out. Why would men start to walk away from modern women? Why would they refuse to commit to women when all they say they want is a loyal woman who loves them? I needed to understand this modern phenomena, and what I found out made more sense to me than anything else. Here's the deal. The modern man has been stuck in a dilemma. This is because women around the Western world have become free from judgment if they want to sleep around and have casual hookups when they desire. One would suppose men would be all in for it, right? Well, no. Modern men, it seems, have had it with the constant chasing and hooking up, and are seeking a loyal woman they can call their wife. A homely woman they can give as a mother to their future children. But while a woman that can bang you behind a dumpster, if you ask her, is ever increasing, the number of women you can actually take seriously for committed relationships is shrinking fast. The statistics don't lie. In fact, they paint a grim picture of the world we are building. Men are now deciding to walk away completely from committing to women or agreeing to a lifelong marital relationship. The modern woman in the Western world has been so indoctrinated with popular social narratives that she no longer has any way to challenge the version she was brought up with. Men in this dynamic are fed up of trying to measure up to the impossible standard that women judge us by. In the dating world of today, the females have been exposed to extremely high-value men in bars, on television, and hitting them up in their DMs. This leads to an inflated sense of one's SMV, and these women then pass up the men that are truly on their level, in hopes that one day they'll get swooped up by Brad Pitt himself. Believe me, the delusion of women thinking they're full-on 10s when they're hardly 4s is a very real thing in the modern dating world. A combination of thirsty men and free validation on social media leads to them being deluded into thinking of themselves as much more attractive than they really are. Remember, gentlemen, you are the vulnerable one now. You can toil away your entire life and work to build your reputation your whole life, and yet all it would take for a woman to come along and wreck it is a few words from her mouth accusing you of something. Tread a careful path. A life that took decades to build could be brought down within minutes. Then comes the marriage predicament. To me, it almost feels like deliberate design aimed at destroying the traditional family structure by rearranging everyone's incentives. There's nothing left for men now in the modern version of marital commitment. Instead of staking half your net worth and risking paying alimony for decades simply because you choose the wrong woman. The risk versus the reward for men simply doesn't make sense. We aren't allowed to be traditional fathers anymore. We aren't allowed to be protective husbands with more conservative-minded views on family and sexuality. It truly is a tragic circumstance that the modern man finds himself in, quashed between two extremes and unable to find either one. Forget women, sex, and miscarriage. Dealing with women in any regard has become an activity you cannot do without absolute and precise deliberation about every little action you take. You have no idea how you can be misconstrued and your life destroyed at the hands of the reigning femme-centric social order. The workplace has been greatly democratized after the entrance of women, and I absolutely support everyone's right to work and earn a living for themselves. But that's not the same thing as burying your head in the sand and refusing to acknowledge the fact that many real problems emerge when men and women mix, and those problems require attention and open discussion to resolve. Is anyone familiar with Jordan Peterson's idea of workplace ethic? I remember watching a recent interview where he talked about the role of makeup in the workplace and if that should be allowed in an environment where men and women have to follow strict harassment guidelines. The interviewer absolutely misconstrued what he had to say and displayed a kind of intellectual arrogance characteristic of a far-left pundit. Everywhere you look, the modern man sees traps set for him. Traps that lie awaiting him to slip and make a mistake, and take away his wealth, destroy his reputation, and ruin his life. And the institution of marriage is no exception. Today, men are thirst-trapped into commitment and then have their lives taken away by them by child support and alimony. In fact, there was a recent rule in the NBA that was introduced to stop women from impregnating themselves after they had slept with a basketball star and picked up their used contraceptives. Many players were trapped into a cycle of having to pay these fraudulent women massive sums of money from their paycheck, and the court of law paid no heed to the fact that it was entirely non-consensual. Perhaps it can even be called assault or rape. I believe more and more that no law will come to protect men. It falls upon us ultimately to be smarter with how we interact with women, and always be cognizant of the fact that one wrong move can spill over into all other areas and end up destroying our lives. Any man with any degree of sense will have to reevaluate why he's even participating in the current dating market. There is so little incentive for men to play the traditional masculine role they have always played, and one of the roles is that of commitment and loyalty. So why would it not be the next wall to fall? Why wouldn't men start to give up on all their conventional gender roles if the other side is doing the same at their peril? Sure, there are things you can do. You can vet the woman you date with extreme caution. You can push for her to sign a prenuptial agreement that is fair, and you can be vigilant of where your relationship is headed at all times if you want it to survive. But the thing is, when I shell out advice, I want to give it in a way that applies to the majority and not the outlier minority. This is why I strongly believe men around the world are correct to be walking away from dating, marriage, and commitment. Even if not going full-on monk mode, they are foregoing commitment and indulging in short-term flings and hookups here and there, just spinning plates. And it's not the ideal solution by any means, but it's hard to point the finger at men who have been screwed over so badly in the recent decades. I believe two wrongs never make a right, but it's also not fair for only one side to be the wrong and the other continues to be right, even as it's taking a brutal beating. In this world where men will have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and seek communities that can help them become smarter in dealing with women, I have seen way too many men in my surrounding circle who have taken some catastrophic decisions with women in their life, and now I find them drunk on a workday, barely making ends meet back in their mom's basement. It is a dismal situation, and resources from the online manosphere can help you navigate through it. And this is why I created this channel. This is one such source of masculine wisdom that you must use in your pursuit to be a man that is impossible to be played. Such a man is cunningly smart and will inevitably be successful in life. So like the video and hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss the hundreds of videos we have in the pipeline for you. Until next time.